Hey fam, welcome back to another Mind the Mic. Got a special guest in the building. I say special guest a lot, but every guest is special. But this guy is special in a different way. He's not a rugby league player. He's not a musician or anything like that. He's about to be the biggest social media rugby league personality in the world, I reckon. Shout out to the bro, Thom, not Thom. If you read that incorrectly, that's yeah, I did. The bro Thom, Retro Rugby League or Rugba League, however you want to pronounce it. How are you, brother?
Yeah, going well, Shubs, yourself?
Yeah, can't complain, man. Another day on this beautiful earth, breathing oxygen, surviving. A lot more people, worse off than I am. So, not really much to complain about, brother. And I get to sit here and talk to a legend like yourself, man. So, grateful,
Yeah,
brother.
well,
Grateful to be here.
thanks for having me on. I'm glad you found me somewhere out of obscurity. So happy to be on the show this morning.
Yeah, that's the one, brother. Hey, just for people that don't know who you are or what you get up to, can you give us a little spiel?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Thom, but my handle thingo is Retro Rugby League. And so I started off just as a kind of Retro Rugby League buyer, reseller, trader of jerseys and other kind of merch and stuff like that. And so that was my initial thing that got started, and I still do that to this day. But then I also started to make some rugby league related content. I'd make little history reels. So I'd take the jersey that I had and then I'd research the history around it and maybe like a special game that was in or a player that wore it, make a little video and then tag my little jersey on at the end. Of late, I've started shifting more and more into kind of reviewing the newest jerseys that are coming out and giving people tips and updates and rumors of jerseys that might be coming soon. For Parramatta fans, there's a rumor of a jersey coming soon for them. So that's the kind of field that I've started to develop a little bit more into. But everything just in rugby league jersey nerddom is my domain.
So where did the love of Rugby League start, brother, for you?
Yeah, none of my parents are into rugby league, but my grandparents were, and my uncle played it a
Okay.
bit as well. But it was more, from my grandparents. When I was a kid, I used to like whatever team was playing on, say, Sunday afternoon. I'd have a bet with my grandpa over the phone, $2 scratchy, whoever was the winner. And
Mm-hmm.
so probably that and State of Origin was the big clincher that like I just loved State of Origin as a kid. And I probably the earliest series I probably would have remembered maybe 96, 97, something like that. But yeah, I just
Okay.
thought that was the greatest thing. And I would call myself a blue, but I grew up mostly in Queensland. So I was always on the opposite side of the fence
Oh,
and quite antagonistic to everyone. But that kind of created that cool environment. Like it was
yeah.
a fun time at Origin. It was nice when we were winning. It wasn't so great later on in high school when we lost 8 straight. But yeah, that I just loved everything in the mythology of rugby league. I was never really allowed to play it because it was too dangerous, even though I was allowed to ride motorbikes because that was nice and safe.
Yeah.
But
Way more safer.
yeah, that's right. My dad, who wouldn't let me play rugby league, broke almost every bone in his body riding motorbikes. But that was the safe option, so you weren't allowed to play rugby league. But I just was enamored by like the mythology of it, the teams, and um, everything that just lived out in that world. I just thought it was so cool. Sydney to me almost wasn't a real place. It was like Star Wars or Disneyland that was divided up by all those little rugby league teams.
Yeah,
And so still to this
definitely.
day, it's still the mythology of rugby league that I love. Sometimes even more than the game itself.
Well, that's interesting. So a big rugby league week guy too when you're younger, or
Yes, yeah. I was just talking about that the other day. Actually, talking about like that teenagers don't read that much anymore. But every
Mm,
Thursday or whatever day it used to come out, I'd go to the post office or the newsagent on the way to school, and I'd buy it,
yes.
and I'd read it at school, and I'd get the posters out, and I had my whole wall covered in all the retro posters and stuff. Yeah, Rugby League Week was a huge thing, and Big League, but more. I was more
Yes.
Rugby League Week guy.
I'm with you too, bruv. I used to do the same. I went to high school over there in Queensland as well, and I used to always go and grab the magazine. Didn't always pay for it. Don't do that, kids. Make sure you pay
All
for
right.
it, but don't do that stuff, kids. But yeah. As a youngin, that was definitely a love of mine was to get that rugby league and grab the posters out of there, and you know, and just read all the stuff I could about the
Mm,
game. So very similar in that way, brother. 100%. And yeah,
mm.
big league wasn't really me either. Rugby league week for sure, all day.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was
I think there was something about like Rugby League Week was bigger, like just literally a bigger magazine, and so you'd fold it out all the way, almost like a newspaper. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, what about the two? Maybe that always rugby league week had a big poster, and big league maybe sometimes had a poster. I don't know if that was the difference, but I was definitely a rugby league week guy.
Yeah, 100%. I was pretty gutted when they stopped it too. I was an adult by then, but I was still like, oh, you know, like, oh no, like just that nostalgia is,
Mm.
ending. Sort of
And
thing.
it's a good thing for, like I was saying, for high school boys who struggle to read and say, "Oh, I don't
Mm,
want to read," and it's Shakespeare in class, or which I still think is a good thing. But there's all these things that people don't want to read. We just give them rugby league stuff because they love rugby league, and then they'll just read the magazines, they read all the articles, and like it teaches you a lot about learning and journalism and writing and how to format an article and stuff together. I think it's actually very helpful. So maybe they should bring
yeah,
it back.
great point, brother. Or maybe Retro Rugby League will have the next magazine, hey?
That might be a bit of a far off idea, but you never know. You never know.
You never know, brother. What you can achieve is only limited by the scope of your ambition, brother. So you never
Mm.
know, man. 100%. I think that's very important. What you said, that even myself, who like English wasn't my first language, brother. So like I think reading stuff like Rugby League Week and stuff like definitely helped me learn a lot more English because yeah, I wasn't really a Shakespeare guy, man. So and you're right, if you want to grab the kids' attention, why not show them stuff that they enjoy, whether it's Spider-Man or whatever? Why not? Like not that there's anything wrong with Shakespeare. It's just that, for me who didn't learn English first, coming over to learn something like that was just like, oh, what is all this? You know what I
And,
mean?
that's basically a third language because Shakespearean English is so different to normal
Yeah.
English. So you kind of have to go through three layers to get there. Yeah, I mean, I would still encourage kids to be challenged by reading hard things and whatever. But if you're not
Yeah.
going to read anything, well, at least start with magazines. I mean, my wife and I were just talking about this the other day, even about like the Dollies and the Cosmopolitans, all those magazines that all the girls used to read are also all
Mm.
gone. And
Yeah,
so,
they are
as
too.
good as social media is, that's just replaced all of that stuff. Apparently, it's been reflected in schools now that literature classes look like more like media studies than they do literature because people just watch TV shows, so they just analyze TV shows. Um,
Mm.
so, anyway, I'm sure this isn't why you got me on the show
No,
to
hey,
talk
brother,
about
no,
this,
no,
but
no,
some cool stuff.
brother, no, no, talk about it, brother. Whatever you're feeling, like at the end of the day, this is important. Like the people that are, that watch you and listen to you, and they want to hear what you have to say, brother. And there's nothing wrong with it, man. Share, like, Mind the Mic isn't a place where where you have to be, bound to a certain like to a certain genre or and stay in a certain niche. Like I have shows about a lot of things on here, brother. So if you veer off to different places, that's fine. I think it's vital that we have these conversations, brother, because then maybe someone else can hear it that's in power or has influence and can maybe implement some change somewhere, even if it's just minute. But a change is
Yeah,
better than none, brother. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
feel
Not
free to have
cool.
those conversations, man. 100. I yeah, but I noticed that too. Like, it's obviously sad. Like, I'm not the greatest reader and writer in the world either. Or like probably a lot of kids that I grew up around. But like I said, rugby league week and stuff about. Even I was a big hip hop fan, still am. A lot of that I used to read a lot of those magazines as well. All of those gave me. It's probably where a lot of my reading happened. I started reading more books as I got older. But if I didn't start reading those, I don't know if I would have read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all these other things.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and audiobooks has been a massive thing for me.
Oh
Like,
yes,
um,
100.
not last year, the year before, I took a year off. So I'm actually a youth and children's minister at a church is my main job,
Okay.
and I've been doing that for about this is my 11th year, I think. But I took a year off that a couple of years ago and just did a bit of labouring, some farm work for some
Yeah.
friends, and a lot of that time because I was working by myself, you could just have your ears in and your earmuffs over the top. I was just grinding the whole outside of this house, sanding the whole thing back. And I
Yes.
chewed through just so many audiobooks and podcasts, but mostly books, just all these classics that people talk about that 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 I had never read or that no one ever reads. Like Catch 22, everyone throws that phrase around all the time. I'd never read the book. And the book is so much better than just the tiny little phrase. But it's all the stuff that sits behind the fabric that makes up our common conscious experience in particularly English speaking worlds that we don't often pull back the curtain to see what's behind. We just see like the Wizard of Oz green talking head. We don't see the man that sits behind the curtain.
Mm.
So that was like that's the beauty of audiobooks, that you can just get force fed that information and see the world that sits behind our common kind of colloquial experience.
So what
Yeah.
would be your main takeaway from Catch 22? If someone's like gets like sell me on why I should listen to this book or audiobook or read it.
Well, I'll give you a tip if you want to read it. So I think this at Stan made the 5-part or the 10-part series based on it. I think it was Stan. So
Yep.
you can watch that. My tip would actually be watch that first and then read it, because the book is deliberately confusing. Have you read it before?
Nah, I haven't. Not that one, brother. No.
So it's basically a typical anti-war book, and it's trying to show you the absurdity of war. And through that, it's written in a very deliberately confusing way, that the scenes chop and change. You'll be at one part, then you'll be at the future, then you'll be back to the past. So it can be a little bit too hard to grab a handle on. But if you watch the Stan series, which is filmed more consecutively, then you'll get the characters a bit better in your head, and then go and listen to it. And there's some stuff that happens, a lot of stuff that happens in the book that doesn't happen in the show typically. But yeah, it's just basically, here's the absurdity of war. Here, I'll give you this is where the phrase catch 22 comes from, is that there's a pilot, or he's not a pilot, he's in a bomber crew, and he's trying to get out of being in a bomber crew because he thinks he's going to die, get shot down.
Yeah.
And so he tries to pretend being insane so that he would be kicked out of the bomber crew. But the doctor, says, well, you want to leave, and you're saying you're insane because you're too scared to fly. Well, that's what a sane person would say. So if you were sane, then I've got to let you fly. Oh, but I'm insane, so I don't want to fly. Well, an insane person would want to keep flying, so you have to keep flying. So that's the catch 22. If you're sane, then you would want to escape. And the fact that you tell me you want to escape means you're sane, so you have to keep flying. If you're insane, you would want to keep flying, and so I'm going to make you keep flying. And that's catch 22. Yeah. And that phrase keeps popping up all throughout the book. And that's the nature of war, is what the author is trying to show you. It's just a total schmozzle. No one knows what you're doing, and it's all pointless.
And to be honest, majority of the time, no one tells the truth at the top either. When it comes to war, whole lot of rubbish a lot of times.
And that's a main theme that's a very main theme of the book too, that what the middle management wants as opposed to what top management wants, what the bomber crew wants, are all totally different things, and they're all flying around at the same time. And it's quite comical in parts, but also very dark in patches. So I'd say go read Catch 22.
Go check it out, fam.
Go read Fahrenheit 451 though. That's the one you more desperately need to read.
Oh, I have I got amongst that one a little while ago.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go, fam. A couple of books from the great retro Rugba Leeg. Couple of book recommendations. And he would have recommended Rugby League week, but it's not around. So yeah.
You have to settle for the classics instead.
That's it, brother. Hey, that jersey you were in, Roosters fan, you said you've born in New South Wales, are you?
I was actually born in Victoria. So I was born in Box Hill, which is kind of Hawthorn Hawks territory for the AFL fans.
Are you an AFL fan?
Nominally, I have gone for the Hawks for a long time, just off to the side. I don't really follow it too much. I watched the grand final. That's probably about it. Although I got on the Port Adelaide train last year because I just think the black and the teal are cool. So that's my jersey nerddom coming through there. But yeah, so I was born in Victoria, and then pretty soon after that, we moved to New South Wales, and I lived there for a little while. We actually lived up in the Northern Territory for a little bit. My dad was a missionary pilot up in Arnhem Land. Yes, so we lived in a little place called a Gap.
What was the mission? One of the pilots on the mission. Is that what you're talking about? What
kind of, yeah. So he was a missionary pilot. Like a minister and a pilot, but because the only way you could get in and out of this little town called Gapawiak is by air or by like canoe or boat, long distance kind of thing. So we lived up there. There was us and one other white family and in our Aboriginal community. That was a great place to live. We didn't live there for very long. It was a great little point to grow up and experience. And then back to New South Wales.
What's the closest where's that near? Because I spent a little bit of time up there. I worked in Alice a little bit and in Darwin, but
yeah. So I was only probably not even year
and young
one
fella.
when we were
Oh,
there. The barge that would bring the food and stuff, that would come in from Darwin. So that
yeah.
would be the nearest big port. There's a place we used to go to the doctor and stuff. I think it's Lake Avella. So maybe that'd be the closest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool though. Interesting. And then what? You moved back to New South Wales?
Yeah, back to New South Wales for a little bit. We lived in a place called Gundagai and then a little town called Weewaw, which is near Moree, kind of cotton country. And then we moved to Dalby, which is in Queensland. And then we'd been in Queensland ever since, except for 1 year where I moved back to Sydney and took a job there. We lived at Palm Beach, and I worked as the youth and young adults minister at Barrenjoey Anglican at Avalon on the northern beaches of Sydney. And we did that for a year and then came back to Queensland.
So where does the love of the Roosters, where does that start?
Yeah, so I think it was more based around state of origin. So we lived in Queensland. Brisbane is like Queensland. What's the opposite of Brisbane? Sydney.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of the players who were playing for the Blues at that point in time were Roosters. So Craig Fitzgibbon, Anthony Minicello, Brad Fittler,
Ricketson.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense then. There you go.
So yeah, those guys, I thought they were like the best players. I used to like them and the Sharks. And David Peachey is still one of my all-time favorite players.
Gun,
yeah.
brother.
People forget that no one used to scoot the ball up out of dummy half with one hand before David Peachey did it. That was his thing. Like no one would dare do that. And he would just come along, scoop it up, and away he'd go.
And then put it down next to the dead ball line.
Yes, that's exactly right. The coach a heart attack every time.
The Peach, man, the Peach. What a legend, brother. No, interesting stuff, brother. I was wondering, like, whether so that was obviously a golden little period because they made how many 4 grand finals or something like that around the early 2000s.
They made the grand final in 2000 against Brisbane, and that's like the moment that really cemented them, cemented me going for the Roosters. They lost that grand final, and then 2 years later they played the Warriors, of course, won that one. And I've even got this will double down on that moment. I've even got a tattoo of Brad Fittler on my calf from the 2002 grand final that I got him to sign.
Like what with the tape around his head?
Yeah, and the blood coming down the face and whatever. Maybe I can send a photo and you put in the show notes. Can
you send the photo? Yeah, I'll just pop it up over my face when you talk about it. But okay, wow, let's go, brother. Tell us about that then. The tattoo of Brad Fittler.
Yeah, so I got that. I think 2020 maybe 2020 and so it's along the back of my calf. And I got that. Then we moved to Sydney, and a friend of mine saw it at a party, and he said, "Oh, I know some of the footy boys who used to work like the producers at was Channel 9 now at Fox. Worked with Freddie. We'll see if we can like tee something up and get him to sign it for you." So that night, I got this text message saying, "Oh, hi, it's Brad here. Here, there's something you want me to sign," but it's from an unknown number. So I thought, "Oh, this is legit."
Yeah, this is one of the boys there.
Yeah, I've got this tattoo of you on my calf. I'd like you to sign it. This is now 2022, 2021, COVID. There's that kind of COVID year in Sydney. And he signed it digitally and he sent it back. And I said, "Oh, I was kind of hoping you'd sign it in person." He said, "Oh, yeah, all right, well, let's meet up." So I arranged to meet up at this park in Mona Vale. And I thought it was going to be a G up. I thought at the last moment someone else was going to jump out of the car and say, "Oh, gotcha." Or some camera crew would turn up and be like, "Oh, we got you." But no, Freddie turned up in his Land Rover and I had a pen and he signed it. But the signature didn't work too well. He said, "Oh, is this a permanent pen?" Yeah. And I said, "Oh, it should be all right," but just didn't work so well. So he had another one in his car. But then we had the problem of the old signature being on there. So he just got out of the surf. So he got his wet undies and scrubbed it off with his wet undies. And
you're the wet undies.
Yeah. And then he got his signature, got his pen and signed it. And then a couple of years ago, last year, I got it tattooed on because during COVID it was hard to get a tattoo appointment and people weren't replying to my messages and stuff. So now I've got the full Brad Fittler piece there, signed by Freddie. Buzz Rothfield rang me up a couple of days after that, and he did a full-page spread on the Sunday Telegraph.
So what's Buzz like? Like, can you give us a Buzz voice when he rings you?
Oh, hi, it's Buzz Rothfield here. That's probably my
Yeah, the
best buzz.
buzz.
Probably doesn't sound too different
That
from my
was
normal voice, really.
no, that was good buzz. I reckon that was a good buzz.
So he actually called me twice because he got some details and he forgot some others, so he rang me up again. But he ran the whole full page spread on the Sunday Telegraph, and then it's been on the Matty John show, I think, once, and it was also on the back page with Tony Squires.
Oh, yeah,
They didn't actually even tell me it was going to be on there. They just stuck it up there, and someone else saw it and then told me about it. So I didn't ask for my permission. They just put it up on TV, but that was all cool. So yeah, it's just that interesting story that's come about from getting tattoos, kids. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, the tattoos. Have you got any other, brother? Any other tattoos?
Yeah, I've got my arm done from my wrist up to my chest. Actually going in on Thursday to finish off the color on that.
What is that?
And
What
then
is
I've
that
got,
on your arm? What's the story behind
it's a
that?
bit hard to see. Oh, how am I going to adjust it?
Oh, yeah.
So I've got a ship's wheel on the corner there. There's some more like koi fish and waterfall stuff up here. And then we've got a big pink shark and some lightning and stuff off there.
Yeah.
And we've got I'm bad with this camera. We've got a diving helmet and some tentacles and stuff underneath there.
Well, there's a lot of water themes there. What's the go?
It's actually a giant depiction of heaven and hell. So from here, get this going. From here up, we've got the koi fish swimming up a waterfall. So the story is there that if the koi fish could swim to the top of the waterfall at a place called the Dragon's Gate, it would turn into a dragon at the top. I've got a little dragon head up here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are swimming, you need to be swimming against the current, because if you're not, you'll get pulled backwards. There is no middle ground. And so you, as a Christian, I'm someone who's pursuing Jesus and pursuing heaven. But if you fall too far backwards, well, then it's the stuff underneath is what you don't want to be going towards. And that's sharks and tentacles and all these kind of things are all a depiction of hell as opposed to heaven at the top of the waterfall. So that's the flow.
Oh, there you go, guys. See? Heaven and hell with a koi fish. Oh, there you go. What about dragons? Do you reckon dragons were real or fake?
Do I reckon dragons were real? I don't know. I mean, dinosaurs were a thing, and certainly even the Bible has mention of at least two of these great beasts called Leviathan and Behemoth. So I don't know. I mean, it's a strange thing that every culture has dragons in it, or some kind of dragon-esque figure.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Aborigines had the bunyip and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know.
Whether they breathe fire or not, that might have been like a thing. But I heard a theory that how birds, like if they were able to fly, obviously dragons, and they were big, but they were able to fly, that their bones would be hollow, so they would their bones would disappear a lot quicker than say human bones or other bones, so they weren't as thick. Like if they were able to fly. I heard this theory. Yeah, I can't remember who I was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I think I can't remember the guy, but yeah.
And there's that I can't recall, that dinosaur that's like, it looks like a bird, but it's still dinosaur in nature, and it could fly. Octoraptor or something like that. I don't know. So maybe that's a thing too. I don't know.
Or like pterodactyl or something.
No. It looks like a blue chicken, but it's like more raptor in its facial features.
What I want to know is like, how do they, how they put like skin color? Like, are they just making that up? Like, how do you even know? Like, a lot of that seems Hollywood to me.
Yeah, and even when they get it like more right, kind of like the old one. So like in Jurassic Park, the T-Rex that we're so used to. Well, now they're like, oh, it probably doesn't look like that, and it's probably covered in feathers. I don't want that, bro. I just want Jurassic Park to stay Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
give me that T-Rex.
Yeah, the Jurassic Park T-Rex, the one that can't put his head on.
Yeah,
yeah, that's Hollywood for you. Sticking on the grand final, the Freddy tattoo. Take us back to that moment as a child, because I can give you that from a Warriors fan child's perspective, and it was not fun. The first half was fun. Shout out to Stacey and the boys, and then Villasanti decided to headbutt Freddy, and it all changed.
Yeah, Adrian Morley just went wild, and things turned. So I was 12 years old when that grand final was on, and I can't remember. Something must have been happening at home that everyone else was away. Like I was just home watching it by myself. I can't remember what happened, but anyway, yeah, that was the moment for me where I was like, yeah, this is the best. I'm a Rooster. The next two were pretty cruel. So 2003, we lost to Penrith. And I thought, when Todd Byrne makes that break down the sideline, we're going to win this. This is us coming back. And Scotty Sattler just took that dream away from us. And then 2004, I think 2004 hurt more because I thought we were really in that game. And we scored first and things looked good against the Dogs. But they got us. And then it was a bit of a wait. 2010 made the grand final against the Dragons.
Oh yeah, such a wait.
Away. Yeah. Keep the faith, Warriors fans.
Always, my brother. Always, 100%. Yeah. 2013, that would have been exciting.
Yes, yeah, that was good. I almost flew down to watch the game, but I have a bit of a superstition because every time I watch the Roosters play live, they always lose. I think I've seen them play like 10 times and they've won once. And so I never want to go to the grand final because because if I turn up, they'll lose for sure.
Well, so I've got a request. If the Warriors and the Roosters play this year in the grand final, can you come?
Yeah, sure. You buy the tickets, I'll be there.
Yeah, I got you, brother. 100. That's us. Maybe, who knows? We'll see if the hoodoo's real or not.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. How do you? And then obviously back to back. First ones to go back to back since way back.
Since the Bronx. Yeah, since the Bronx in 97, 98. Yeah, so that was great. Like, and that was my son was so he was born in 2017, so he was 1 and 2, and New South Wales won those State of Origin series as well. So for the first 2 years of his life, everything was going in the right direction. New South Wales were winning, the Roosters were winning. Things fell off the wagon a little bit after that, but yeah.
Oh, cool, my man. But how do you see your boys going this year? What's your thoughts?
I was talking to Troy Werner on the Paracade podcast about this the other day too, because for so many years the Roosters have been the team that's going to win it this year on paper, and have just failed come game time. And this year, and they seem to get better every year. Like this year, we've added Dom Young and Spencer Leniu to the squad. Last year we added Brandon Smith. The team just gets better and better.
Not for the next 7 weeks.
Well, that's right. Well, that's his own silly fault, but
yeah. Oh, I don't know.
But so they should
political correctness as well. Anyway, carry on.
The Roosters should be a grand final side this year, and they could win it. Whether they will or not, I don't know. But I think the Warriors will go on with it this year. A lot of people are saying they'll slide off, but I think they've squad-wise they've gotten better this year. And everyone who's down on Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I don't know what they're talking about.
But give him time, bro. His 2 games back in the and he's hardly had the ball. He's
good right now.
There's
anyone who's saying, "Oh, why we get Roger? Oh, what are we going to?" He is one of the most elite people that you can have on a rugby league field, and you've just got him in your squad. Just shove him in anywhere. It doesn't matter where he plays; he'll be good for you. So I don't get that.
He's gonna be better too, brother. Once he builds his combo with his back rower, with Metcalf, with Montoya, they'll be better, brother. You know what I mean? It's only 2 games together, they'll get better. And I think even though they've lost the first 2 games, I'm not scared that I'm not in years gone by, I'd be like, ugh. But besides a freakish try to Xavier Coates, in the last 13 seconds, their last game, they win that. And even in the first game, realistically, they were on top against Cronulla. They just went to sleep. But once Eden and Wade and that went off, in the first half, and they sort of just didn't kick on. But they should have done the job. So I think they'll be right. I think a lot of pressure too, all of New Zealand, when the Warriors are going good, the Warriors right now, I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm not at home, but talking to family members who are big Warriors fans as well, they love Warriors, and as do I, more than the All Blacks, and that's rare because the All Blacks is a religion in New Zealand. But I think that a lot of the like everybody's telling them they're good, everybody's telling them they're this and that. But you're right, depth wise, they have like depth in every position. Like like Rocco Berry, if he doesn't play well, like the Ale Leatoa and Adam Pompey are right there on his heels. Chanel Harris Davida and we got and the Brotimari Martin, like they're right there. If Metcalf and even Sean, let's say he just falls off the wagon, like they can slot in as well, brother. They're classy players. Chance is not back yet, and like like we got people like Marata coming off the bench, bro. You know what I mean? Who was signed as one of their major signings last year. So they'll be all right,
the fact that they could be running Roger at fullback too. Like
yes,
so
they
they've
could
gone
be.
with Chance and then I forget
Tuipiki.
yeah, so they've got him there now. But if he goes down or they just don't like it, just chuck Roger there. In fact, my prediction is that by round 10, Roger will be back at fullback.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
a lot of people have said that's not happening.
Yeah.
The coach says it's not happening. He's too good. He's just too good to not have there.
Yeah, or if not, maybe like obviously we're not the coach, we're just couch potatoes. Well, I am. I don't know. You're a good Christian. You're a good Christian man.
I'm an under sevens coach. That's about as
you're the under
as coachy as
sevens
I am.
coach. Hey, one day you'll progress to what is it, under 15s coach like Cameron Smith, then, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, cool. Yeah, I think we'll be all good, brother. Yeah, I'm excited for this year, and like I do actually hope that we play the Roosters in the grand final because then we can get one back, hopefully. It'd be cool to get it against because 2002, like 2011 Burns, not like especially because I went as well, but not as much as 02.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that Burns way more, because like that squad was solid. There's a lot of veterans, Campion in there, and like what I mean. Stacey was coming into his own, and even Ivan Cleary, obviously there. Hasn't he gone well in his son? Eh? Got some special stuff, and him and his wife's got some special connection there. Eh? What a legend old Nathan Cleary's turned out to be.
And his the other son Jet is coming through the grades as well.
Yeah, brother.
So he looks like he's got a bit of something about him. So how
100%.
Interesting would that be if it would be both brothers and the father coaching at the same time?
Crazy. And not only that, like imagine if they still dominating too, you know what I mean? Like Fisher Harris and Moses Leota are still laying their platform, and Martin and they're still doing their thing.
They're really set up for success, and for all the the poo-pooing we give Phil Gould and what he did at that club over the the 5-year plan that lasts about 10 years. He really did set them up with that pathway, and now 100%. They just have. Oh yeah. And so 100%. Now they just have a system. Like whenever Origin was on and they lose a heap of players, everyone will say, "Oh, Penrith will fall off here because all the new kids come through." The kids come in, they stand in their spot, and they do the exact same thing that everyone else does because they just built a system. You play Panthers football from like under 15s to the NRL, so they're bred to play a certain style, and it works. So there's very few clubs and systems that can do that. Melbourne have manufactured that more from a kind of culture and ethics point of view rather than a pathways. And the Broncos have always had the luxury. People say that Penrith have the biggest junior nursery, and technically that's true. But Brisbane have a luxury basically of the whole state to pick from. I mean, even every kid would choose almost always to play for Brisbane over the Dolphins, or unless you're in North Queensland, the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys, they bleed.
Like let's be honest, no one played the Titans.
Up the Titans.
Poor Titans. But yeah, so Brisbane have a whole state to pick and choose their players. They don't need systems because they've just got them all locked up in the big Queensland cage kind of thing to pick from. So those teams are really set with their pathways and stuff. They'll always have good juniors coming through, where other teams will have to really scramble and work. But Penrith have laid the platform for what it means to build a solid junior base through academies and pathways. And a lot of teams will be very wise to start trying to replicate that as fast as possible.
100%. I think the Warriors will be on the way too. Like they never had a jersey flag or anything like that. SG, they've never had all that kind of stuff. So they like obviously Gus like focused on trying to implement that, but COVID hit, and obviously he moved on to the Bulldogs. But now they've started all that stuff happening. Like don't forget the Warriors were the most successful under-20s team. They won 3 grand finals as well. They're like a lot of gun players came out of that, and then not only that, a lot of players that play in the NRL now could have been played for the Warriors, but there were no pathways to get there too. Yep. So you know what I mean? Like there's like the Fisher Harrises and the Harawira Naidas that did all right at the Panthers. Don't forget where they came from. You know what I mean? They Yeah, exactly. Like there's
See
plenty of
why,
kids like Jerome Hugheses and all these guys,
yep,
Dylan Browns.
yep. See why Taukei'aho won back-to-back premierships for the Roosters. He was a Warriors reject.
It's it,
Um,
brother.
yeah, and I think that's one thing that's a very strong argument for a second team in New Zealand is that
Ooh,
currently they just
yeah.
can't hold on to them all. I
Yes.
don't think you guys will get the next pick, but maybe after. I think the next one would
Who do
probably
you
go to a Perth. Probably
Yeah,
Perth.
well, I hope it goes to Perth biasly because I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, yeah, and I just we're screaming out for rugby league men. Like I think there's a lot of expats here from over east Queensland, New South Wales,
yep,
and also huge Maori, huge Kiwi, Polynesian community here
yep.
because of the mining and all of that kind of stuff. There's also a lot of like I know a lot of English people over here too from like the north of England that would
Yeah,
love
okay.
even South Africans that aren't obviously rugby league fans, but they're state of origin fans now. They lived in Australia 10, 20 years
Yeah,
and they don't really know rugby league, but they watch state of origin, you know what I mean? And even go to the games. So, and there's a
and
lot
it's
of
right.
money here when it comes to marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's exactly right. And it's another time slot as well.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yep.
there's a lot of things working in favour of it. A lot of sponsors who would love to get on board with the one rugby league team in Perth. I know it's
Yes.
divided, between West Coast and Freo in the AFL, and I'm sure they
Ah.
get like all the attention.
Oh, of
But
course.
to get, just to have your logo on the one rugby league team from Perth, and probably like the only other team that would get any attention, would it? Like, does Perth have a basketball side or anything
Yeah, they have
else?
the most successful basketball side. The
Do they?
Wildcats,
Okay, I
like
know nothing
if you
about
if you if you get a win over here, apparently it's the hardest win to get in the NBL. With the Wildcats,
right.
they got tons of banners, man. Yeah, then they get like the arena where a lot of the concerts happen as well. That packs out, brother. Every game, they're like huge basketball
Yeah,
NBL
wow.
fans. Yeah. And they this year, one of their players, Alex Sarr, he's projected to be the number one or one of the top 5 picks in the NBA this year. Come on, this
Yeah,
season
okay.
coming up, yeah, as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
right.
definitely, brother. But there's enough space for everyone, man. Straight up, and
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, Perth probably gets it. And then I seen there's that whole talk about PNG in there. What are your thoughts on that? More
That's a
political,
difficult
everything.
one because, well, it's a lot motivated by politics. So the reason that
100.
the Australian government and also the Americans are behind it, this is why Peter V'landys went to the White House and talked to Joe Biden, because
Indeed.
they are interested in putting their assets in PNG to keep them faithful to Australia and America instead of jumping onto the Chinese bandwagon like the Solomon Islands have. So that's
Hmm.
what's the big motivator. PNG are wild about rugby league, right? So you will have no problem with fans. Whether the place is a bit too wild as is, that might be a trouble for trying to have like continued
Yeah.
structured teams and things like that. I think that's its biggest downfall is for a long time people have known about political corruption and stuff like that in PNG and the kind of social unrest. So that doesn't bode well. We're trying to start a rugby league team and then also trying to launch it from Cairns and then
Yeah.
to kind of
Like
sometimes play in Port
it can't
Moresby.
really be a PNG team if it's not in PNG. You know what I mean? Like it's a Cairns team, really. Like even if you
Yeah,
play like a couple of games in Port Moresby, like if all the players, where are they going to be based to? Like they got families and all of that. What are they going to do? Base
yeah.
themselves between the places? Yeah.
And I don't know where the Hunters, the PNG Hunters that are in the Queensland Cup, I'm not sure where they're based. I know they do some stuff in PNG, but I thought they were more Aussie based, maybe Queensland or something. I'm not sure. But I know I feel for PNG fans because they are just the most diehard
The
rugby
most
league fans of all time.
100% of all time,
But
cuz they'll go
oh
to
yeah,
war for New South Wales and Queensland,
oh
brother.
yeah,
Literally, literally.
yeah.
Village versus
So
village.
yeah, so I can't see that happening yet. And the other problem is that even if the government's throw so much money at it that you can't deny it, well, in 3 years' time we have an election, government switches policy, now the team's dead. So yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not really long serving. I would think
Yeah.
Perth, possibly a second new team in New Zealand, or Adelaide would be the
Yeah.
top three.
And I'm just thinking that Adelaide. I mean they had the Rams back in the days, but I haven't heard that one floated lately. I have you seen the little South Island Kias that they're trying to create?
Mm.
Well, I don't know the bid they're trying to put in.
Yeah,
Um
I don't understand
Meh,
it because I don't
meh.
understand what a Kia is. Maybe maybe every Kiwi knows what it is, and I just don't. But yeah, I
I
mean,
just
it just looked a bit meh to me.
yeah. If you ask me, I just don't care.
Yeah, right.
No, because I think like the Warriors, bro. Like, let's make the Warriors successful before we worry about trying to bring other teams in.
Mm.
Like, just for my, you know what I mean? Let's like build a legacy for the one team that we have. All right, man. It's been some gloom and doom days, man. So like, what are we up to? And then also sponsorship wise, I heard the CEO of the Warriors talk about it, bro. That it's like it's hard to get sponsorship in New Zealand because rugby is the dominator, and
Yeah,
we don't
right.
have these billion-dollar companies or any like huge you know what I mean, conglomerates to pay big money for. So it's going to be hard to just even share revenue, and you're also sharing it with the All Blacks, with the Super Rugby teams, and then
Mm.
eh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
I would, being that they're from like New Zealand, like I'd still, good on you if they did come in, but it's Warriors all day, baby.
Yeah. I suppose the counter to that argument. So I would kind of agree with you. Like, surely you get the Warriors going firing first, and then move on to something else. The one counter is that if we can't hold on to our Kiwi talent as is, do we need another pool to put them in? And therefore, can we hold more Kiwis back in New Zealand, generate more rugby league interest in New Zealand, have greater pathways, which leads to more success? So that's the counter argument.
Maybe you're right.
You
Maybe the counter argument's right, but yeah, up the wires anyway.
yeah, for sure. But I think Perth will be the next team.
Yeah,
there
I
was
think so. Or should be, man. Come on.
Well, the other thing that was getting floated was about like a Pacifica team. So I see in the rugby union there's that Pacifica Moana, and now they wanted to maybe
based out of
do.
Auckland, and based out of Auckland they are they, and yeah, that'll be interesting. Like, but again, are you gonna base it? The thing I like about that Moana Pacifica is that the players are meant to be like eligible for either Samoa or Tonga, because Fiji have their own team as well, the Indrua, who play out of Fiji as well.
Yeah,
They've
okay.
got their own team, the Indrua. Yeah, and they're doing all right. Moana Pacifica, and they're doing, obviously just like most teams when they come in, unless you're like the Melbourne Storm, they
Yeah.
they're not too crash hot, but they get better. More they play
Yeah.
harder competition and build their pathways. Same again with PNG though. Like, if you want PNG to, not only politically, if you want them, I know there's civil unrest and all that stuff that can happen, and you worry about player safety and family safeties. But if you create an environment, I mean, there's places all around the world that, if you're traveling as a tourist, they don't recommend, but families live and teach in these places and they're safe. You know what I mean? So if the military wants to get involved and create a safe environment, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let's
that'd be
go.
interesting. Like to have a rugby league field inside a military compound. I've never heard of that before. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, but or not even that. Maybe just for start. Maybe they can flip a bit of influence inside of PNG to create not only create societal pathways for better life and all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen, a lot of water under the bridge, I think, before you can even think about that. Really. Yeah. But I wish they
and
get
we
a
haven't
team
really
one day.
Yeah, and we haven't really even tested the waters that much beyond like a PNG, a Prime Minister's 13 going to PNG every year or whatever, in taking regular games there. I think maybe once was there an NRL game that got taken to Port Moresby? Certainly the Q Cup goes there sometimes.
No, they had a few tests there. Remember, like Great Britain went over there a few years ago. Remember as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very, very few and far between. And then when COVID happened, a lot of things stopped. You know what I mean? Happening as well. So through a span in the
the
works.
logistics of week to week rugby league teams, I think that's where the real toil is. So that might be the hard bit there. But
yeah, 100%, brother. Where would you like to see the team though? Perth or
Perth? Yep, Perth definitely. Yep, time zone sponsorships. I like Perth Pirates. Remember they made that logo a couple of years ago, and they tried to push for the bid. Just about the time the Titans came in, they were pushing for that, and
I think
it was
I
cool.
think they still have the SG ball team, don't they? As Pirates or whatever.
Yeah, because I've bought and sold some Pirates like league safe training tees before, so it's still running around as an entity, and I think it looks cool. So I think I should run with that.
What do you tell us about that? Your whole buying and selling. How did that begin? Of the jerseys.
Yeah, so I don't have a massive collection, but I had a few 10 or 12 jerseys and stuff, Roosters jerseys and some New South Wales jerseys and some Kangaroos jerseys. That was just my own little collection. And I thought, I'm not really wearing any of these. I might sell them off. And there's a guy on Instagram you should follow called Jersey Lord, and he does that, buys and sells jerseys. And I was going to sell them to him. And then I started looking at his page, and I thought, I could do that. And I think I could make, these little videos and tag my little jersey onto the end and really like dig into the history of it. I might have a crack at doing that. So I got my jerseys together and bought a bunch of others just off Facebook or eBay or wherever, and put my little page together on Instagram and started putting things up and making little history reels and stuff like that to sell them. And it went nowhere. No one bought anything, and it was all a big flop. And I thought, this is it. Like I've had a go at it, and I think I'll give up. I started that in about September, October 2020, 21, 22. And then this year, last year, sorry, then at the start of the year, I just put everything up on Marketplace. I thought, I'll just sell it off on there and be done with it. And then I learnt the cycle. And as the football season started to draw near, people got hungry for rugby league stuff again, and it started to sell. And right, that's what's going on. It wasn't a failure. I was trying to sell in the off season when no one else is selling.
No one's buying.
Bit by bit, that's exactly right. So bit by bit, people started to pick up my stuff, and then I would buy more, sell more, and I learnt trends amongst like certain fan groups, what they buy and what they don't buy, what teams sell well, what team bases or fan bases is hard to sell their jerseys back to them. And also, as the team rises in success, how profitable their jerseys are. So like the Warriors last year, at the start of the year, no one wanted to touch Warriors stuff. By the end of the year, it was the hottest commodity going around. So I had one of the Culture Kings hats that I bought, and I sold it for $10 more than I bought it for, because I didn't realize they were going so quick. I saw someone selling those on Trade Me, I think, for $150 plus shipping. For a cat.
Plus shipping. Like, holy damn.
Yeah. From Australia, I think, to New Zealand. So it would have cost them 170 Australian dollars, so probably close to 190 New Zealand dollars for a hat. But they were buying it. Like Warrior stuff was just so hot. So I learnt some of the tricks and the stock market kind of rises of jerseys. And also what designs were kind of seen as valuable and worth collecting and holding, and what no one wanted to touch and stuff like that. So I've been playing that game over the last little bit, and that's kind of worked out well. There's some cool pieces that have come up along the way, but more, I think I've learned that if you be a good person by like not ripping people off and trying to be fair and do the right thing, that works out well for you in the long term. And there's people who now buy multiple things off me because you did a fair thing for them at the start, and so they'll stick with you.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I've done a lot of business, brother. So, and I think like that, and whenever any business I've done, when you're building customer base, it's always good to not them and I'll beep that up and not and just be honest with them, and because you want that return customer, you know what I mean? So and word of mouth, brother, nothing spreads like that. If you treat somebody well and nice and respect them and you give them what you say, boom, they'll come around and might even bring their friends, brother. So
and like the Jersey community is quite a small community, so people know each other, and so if you do a dodgy deal, like everyone will know about it really quick. So there's a lot of merit in actually being honest socially. You're kept accountable, but also you start to form good links with people. And I send messages to friends this day and say, I've just pulled this jersey in, what do you reckon it's worth? And I'll bandy around some prices and try to work out something that's accurate but fair. And I think it's a good little space for people to be in. There's some cowboys out there, and there's a lot of fakes. There's a lot of fake jerseys.
Oh, true.
At the moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, heaps.
How do you spot one? How do you spot a fake?
Yeah, good one. So if you see jerseys on Facebook or eBay or Marketplace or Trade Me, and they have a little black tag with green writing that says sports performance, instantly you know that's a fake. So they're the Chinese reproductions. Yeah.
True.
So they're
There we
often
go.
really cheap. They'd be like they look really close to the real thing, and they'll have all the same designs, and often they'll come out within weeks or maybe even a week of the jersey. So when the Warriors dropped their 2024 Heritage jersey,
How
within a
good.
week, the Facebook ads were out about here you can get this one for $60 instead of $160, and they're fakes, but they are really good fakes.
Yeah.
The other way you can tell is usually fakes have sublimated badges, not embroidered badges, because it's just
Oh,
printed.
yes.
So I actually, before I got this one, I actually got a fake of this one, and I didn't realize. And it had the sublimated patches, so they're just in the jersey, not embroidered on top. And then this one has something embroidered, written in the collar about this is a commemorative jersey, you know, for the Roosters beating the Warriors 2002. The fake version, the fake version, they just took the little script off the website that just said like this, you can buy this jersey at roostershop.com, and they just copied and pasted that and stuck it on the back of the collar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they outed themselves there.
Wow.
But apart from that, like the average not jersey nerd fan wouldn't be able to tell. And that's a problem for two reasons. One, because people are getting fooled and they don't know. But two, a lot of people are saying, we don't care. We would rather buy fake jerseys for $60 than pay $160 at Rebel Sport or wherever. And that's a problem for the NRL because the momentum and the tide has shifted away from I want to do what's right and support my club to I want to look out for me. And fair enough, like $160 is a lot of money for a jersey, or for kids, it might be 130, 140. And if you've got, two boys, you got $320 straight away if you want to buy jerseys for them for Christmas. So the NRL needs to step in and do something and bring those prices down. And it can be done because I made a video the other day about Redcliffe Dolphins, not the Dolphins, the Redcliffe, the BRL side. They're selling their jerseys for $110, and they're really cool. I would buy them over the Dolphin stuff at the moment.
True.
And CQ Capras, I haven't made this video yet, so here's an exclusive for you.
Yeah, that's exclusive. Let's go, baby.
The CQ Capras at Rockhampton are selling their jerseys for $62. That's not the same as the match-worn ones, but what the fans would wear like this, $62. So almost $100 less than what the NRL is selling them for. So it can be done. Someone's just got to choose to start eating it a little bit and not taking as big a profit. And I think they need to change that very quickly.
Because how does it work, brother? Like, do you know how it works when it comes to who takes money from what angle? Because obviously the NRL get a cut of the jerseys, but the clubs would too. How does all that work?
I want to do a deep dive on this. I don't really know where to start, but it has to have multiple layers. So there's the NRL licensing, then there's the club licensing, then there's the manufacturer. So in this case, Castor made this jersey, or Dynasty makes the Warriors stuff, and then you also have underneath Rebel Sport or whoever's got to make a cut. So there's all those people want to get paid, but the two that could take the biggest hit would be the NRL and the club. And really, it's hard to feel. This is where I'm on the side of the fans. It's hard to feel bad for the club when the players are getting paid $1 million a year. Like, you want me to sacrifice my earned cash so James Tedesco can buy another BMW? Like, it doesn't really make sense. Now, I know there's trickle-down economics and whatever all the way through it, but someone has got to start doing something. And I had heard the other day that there's a story going around that Peter V'landys was going to put a cap on the Australian jerseys, as in the Kangaroos, at $99. That's fair.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
It's still a bit of money.
But that's
much more affordable than
compared to what it is.
Oh,
100%.
Sure. Yeah. So I think $110 is a pretty fair figure. I think AFL jerseys I know they don't have sleeves, not that that's really a massive cost-cutting measure, but I think they're about $90, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously the sleeves are $35 each, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's something that's got to change quick smart to keep clubs getting the money that they should, keep intellectual property in the hands of where it should, not in just, Chinese kind of manufacturers or whatever, but also to keep fans engaged and actually buying the merch.
No, beautiful, brother. That's like I never knew any of that, brother. So like, thank you so much for just sharing that knowledge about what's going on in the whole Jersey game, how it all works. And I'm sure people that listen to this, whether audibly or maybe watch it on YouTube or wherever, would take a lot from there, brother. And who knows, maybe they're on your side too. I'm sure they would be like, yeah, the bloody cost too much. Yeah. What do you reckon
I
out
mean,
there? Anybody that is listening, do you think they cost too much? Should we all create a petition to send to the NRL to drop the jersey prices, or what? What do you reckon? Let us know. What's that, brother?
I was just going to say, I want to be on the side of the authentics, because by that I mean the authentic jerseys over the fakes. Because
Yes.
if you have any notion of wanting to keep it, hold it, and resell it, fakes are worth nothing.
Yeah.
And so, as someone who's into jerseys and collecting it and buying and selling, trading, like the authentic stuff is what you want. That's the stuff that really holds the value and the time. But by the same token, fans who just want to wear stuff to game day, it's very hard. When you've got big families and whatever, to fork out all that cost. I don't think you'd find one person who would say, "I would pay $160, over $100 if I didn't have to." So that would be a pretty rare breed to find.
Yeah, probably right. Probably some millionaires that don't care. But what are you moaning about? No, but you're right. And you'll say, like, if you have two boys, man, there's families out here, especially in the Polynesian community, brother, that have like 10, 8
Yeah.
boys. Imagine trying to buy them all jerseys. You're going fake all day, really. And then
Yeah,
because eight jerseys. Woo-wee.
yeah.
It's crazy, man. If you had a time machine, brother, if you had a time machine and you can go back and watch any NRL match live, what would you choose?
Oh, well, the first grand final that I ever remember watching on TV was the '99 grand final. That was St George and Melbourne,
Dragons.
with the penalty try to win. So that was pretty amazing back then. I think I would love to be in the stands for, was it 2019 New South Wales won the State of Origin? James Tedesco scores that try down the edge with like 20 seconds to go. It was like when New South Wales put a Queensland on Queensland.
Yeah, I think
that was
19,
2019 game 3.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
So that would have been hectic.
2020 COVID year at the end of the year, Queensland won it.
Yes.
Wayne Bennett comes back.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
19. Yep.
So that would have been hectic to be standing there watching like Teddy run it in, at all that unfold. Last year's grand final would have been one for the ages to be there for, particularly if you're a Panthers fan, sitting behind the stands as Cleary goes over with, once again, 20 seconds, 30 seconds to go.
Crazy.
So yeah, either that or one of the old, like there's that game, I think it's from the 80s, it pops up on Fox League every now and then, Newtown versus Manly, and the first like 2 minutes is just fights. It's just
Tommy Rodonigus playing then?
Oh yeah. Yep. And they're just belting each other. Like there's a guy on the ground and the other guy is just feeding him punches on the ground. It was rough, man. So that would have been a sight to behold, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nah, cool, brother. If there was one rule you could change or implement into, like if you could change a rule or bring one in that you could into the game, what would you choose?
It's a really little one, but I don't understand why it's not in effect already. In rugby union, when you make a tackle, you must roll away. Once the tackle is complete, you have to roll away out of the ruck.
Yes.
Yeah. So in league, they just don't. They just lay there.
Yeah.
And all these problems occur. We had to have all these rules because people were laying there, then the dummy halves were tripping over. So then they started penalizing the people. Then they would grab the ball on purpose and pass it into their head full pace. And then go, "Oh, look, sir, he was in the way." And then they're milking penalties the other way. Now, there was one on the weekend where one team did that, and that they were penalised for milking the penalty because they did it on purpose. Why can't we just solve all that problem by saying, tacklers, you must roll away out of the ruck? Problem solved.
Interesting. There you go, fam. Your top 5 Rugby League players of all time. Rugby League.
Ooh, okay. let me do this. Let me put a twist on it. This is not my top 5 favorites. This
Okay.
is like my top 5 guys that if I can guarantee they're going to be playing their best on the day, will win me a game.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Big game players.
Okay. Yes. So if I'm going to pick a guy to like play for my life, and I can guarantee he's going to be at 100% performance to win, who's going to get me there? I'm trying to work from the bottom up because I know my number one.
Bottom up. Let's go.
Oh, let's say, look, Billy Slater would have to be in there.
Ooh.
I'll go with Freddie. I'll throw Freddie in there. We'll say that's Slater.
Who's
Freddie.
that? I know someone that has a tattoo of him. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some nerd. Yeah. Joey, Andrew Johns, Cameron Smith, number 1,
Ooh.
Jared Hayne.
Jared Hayne, number 1.
100%. Yes. If you can guarantee that he is at the 100% performance that day, he'll win every day of the week. Because in that 2009 series for Para, he carried them all the way there. 2014 did a similar thing, won Daily M of the Year because he was just on that year. And I think it was that State of Origin series where New South Wales won. One of those games, he basically won by himself.
Yeah.
But if you can guarantee that he will perform, which you can't, that's the problem with Jared Hayne. I don't think there was ever a better rugby league player on his day or by himself than Jared Hayne.
There you go, the Hayne plane.
Yeah,
interesting, brother. Interesting choices. I like it. I didn't expect that. Like the number 1.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. That was a good one. That was a good surprise. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what do you choose?
It's not very healthy, but I'd be a pizza guy.
Yeah. Oh, pizza. Yeah. What pizza?
Well, the fact that I can choose pizza means I can choose different toppings from week to week, day to day.
No. You're going one type of pizza, brother. What do you choose?
Yeah. Well, usually my go-to is pepperoni, just pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't last long on that, so maybe I'm going to have to change my answer, but too late.
Yeah, are you a Ninja Turtle? No.
Nah.
That's their favorite. If you had one superpower, the choice of one superpower, what do you choose?
I would choose teleporting.
Bro, that's mine all day. That's mine all day.
Just be wherever you want to be as quick as... Because I want to go to all these places overseas, but I don't want to get on a plane for 24 hours. So, yeah, that would be a big one.
All right, and 2000 and 2024 grand final. Who are the 2 teams that are in there?
I think Brisbane and the Roosters, and I hope the Roosters win.
There you go, brother. Hey, well, man, I just want to thank you for your time, brother. Time's the most valuable commodity we have as human beings. So thank you for sharing yours with us, brother. Let's do this more often, maybe even mid-season or something. Let's figure something out. Love having chats with you, brother. You're a legend.
Mid-season review, see how the Warriors are going, see how how your listeners are going with reading their Fahrenheit 451 and Cash 22, and maybe you can make a few other book recommendations in between.
Yeah, and see how the Roosters are going, brother. Chop it up. And, maybe the petition's been signed and the jersey prices have dropped thanks to Retro Rugby League and Mind the Mic.
maybe.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the Mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.